Hey everyone, it's nutritionist Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com, and I want to say that I'm bringing you another installment of Keto Without the Crazy, but today it might be more like Crazy Without the Keto. Let me explain. If you happen to have seen my 3 other videos in the past about body image, then this kind of outfit, this garb, might look a little familiar to you. Today is, in fact, going to be another one of those stream of consciousness, just unscripted, unplanned, no notes, body image type videos, just thoughts that are going through my head. And I don't know why I always get the impulse to do this kind of video after a workout when I'm in my workout clothes, soaking wet with sweat, no makeup on, hair up, soaking wet, disgusting, but it is what it is. And based on the feedback, you guys like this kind of video, so it's cool. I am wearing 2 t-shirts. I'm wearing a sort of smaller dark gray t-shirt on top of a larger lighter colored gray t-shirt because it's only 90 degrees in North Carolina today, and one shirt would not have been hot enough to run in North Carolina in 90 degrees. What run? Did she just say run? I did say run. I have not run in ages. I think I've mentioned in previous videos that I've actually dragged my sorry behind across the finish line of 2 marathons. My first marathon was in 2001. It was the City of Pittsburgh Marathon. So if any of you are watching this from Pittsburgh, the Steel City, Iron City, Iron, oh my goodness, Pittsburgh has such a big place in my heart. Let's go Pens. It's where I fell in love with hockey. The Penguins will always be my hockey team no matter where I live. Anyway, second marathon was in 2005 in Big Sur, California. Ran across the Bixby Bridge. Gorgeous marathon. It was rainy that day, so it kind of sucked. Anyway, the point is, I have not run in ages and ages and ages. I hate running. I'm not a natural runner. I'm not a gazelle. I'm a turtle. I'm a big fat hippopotamus who is not good at running. I am built for endurance. I'm not built for speed. So the marathon was kind of a good event for me. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let me try to get back on message here because there's some things that I want to say about exercise, and there's some things I want to say about body image, and there's some things that, yes, I do want to say about keto and how it relates to body image and exercise. So I guess before I forget, because I will forget, I have no notes, I'll start with the exercise. I have always exercised. I've always been somebody who dedicates a certain amount of time every day or a couple of days a week, maybe not every day, several times a week to deliberate exercise, whether that means running, outdoors somewhere or going to a gym, getting on a bike, or even in various places I've lived throughout the years, like doing aerobics or something in the basement or doing some kind of like dumbbell workout at home. Now, the last year or so, I haven't been feeling it. I just kind of stopped wanting to work out. Now, I've still walked. I would walk about 6 miles a day, almost every day, unless the weather just absolutely prohibited it, just to do something. I mean, I've mentioned this in videos. I know I'm a writer, right? And I live in an apartment. I live in a non sort of walking friendly part of town. I can't really walk to a lot of things from here. So unless I deliberately put effort into physical movement, I could easily sit on my behind in front of the computer all day. So I have to factor that movement into my day. Now, it took me so many years to do this, but with some help from Ted Naiman and his Twitter feed, Dr. Ted Naiman, a very keto-friendly doctor out of the Seattle area, he posts a lot of stuff about exercise, and it really, in all the years and years I've been exercising, in fact, the reason I took up running, the reason I trained for the marathon, I mean, this isn't the only reason, but one of the reasons was I thought it would help me lose weight, right? How could you possibly train for and run a marathon without losing weight? Well, guess what? You can, because I've done it. Running is not a weight loss tool. So I will say, though, and this is, I'm going all out of order because there really is no order. Weight loss or not, exercise makes me feel good, and I think I think I forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, like, why do I always get the urge to do this kind of video when I come back from a workout? And it's because I feel good. And I I might be forgetting, maybe I did say this at the top of the video. If it's repetitive, sorry, but it's important for me to say this, and I don't remember if I said it at the start. I don't know if it's the runner's high or just endorphin rush or something, that I feel good after a workout. And when I feel good is when I want to share these things with you. For so many years, most of my life, in fact, I have equated exercise with losing weight, right, or losing body fat. Exercise equals changing the size and shape of my body. And because for all the decades I've been working out, and yes, at this point I can say it's been decades, and that hasn't happened. Exercise did not equal weight loss, did not equal changing the size and shape of my body. It does equal helping me feel good, definitely a mood booster, definitely makes me feel physically well. And here's where the thing with Ted Naiman and the sort of other stuff comes in. I've finally, for the most part, not entirely, I'll be completely honest with you, for the most part, I've divorced myself of that notion. I've divorced exercise from changing the size and shape of my body. And what Dr. Naiman posts a lot about exercise is that it's really not about burning calories, and it's not about even like burning fat. It's really about depleting glycogen, especially if you do something intense, which is why, even though I loved my walks, and my walks I think definitely were really, really good for my mental health. I know I've told you I have depression. Walking really, really helps with that. I don't think it was doing anything for my, it was doing stuff for my physical health. It wasn't doing much, and it wasn't doing as much as I need physical activity to do for me physically. And so I realized, you know, Amy, you don't like this, but you have no choice, and you know better. You know enough about this yourself that you have got to start doing this more intensely and working harder. Like, the walking is better than not walking, but it's not enough. It's not enough for what you want this to do for you. So Dr. Naiman posts a lot about the purpose of high intensity exercise for depleting glycogen, for getting the stored carbohydrate out of your muscles, out of your liver. Well, the liver long story, I won't go into detail. And it's also about what they call mitochondrial biogenesis, building new mitochondria, mitochondrial biogenesis, creating them. And that's something you want. You definitely want lots and lots of healthy mitochondria for a myriad reasons. And I haven't gotten back into lifting yet. I lifted for years and years, and all of a sudden, the last year or so, I don't want to do it anymore. And rather than force myself to do it, I'm just going to do it when the urge comes back, because I know it will. There have been a few days over the last couple of months that I have gotten into. There's a little free gym at my apartment complex here that I've gone, and I have lifted a lot. I've lifted a little bit, and it does make me feel good. And so I know that I like it. I like it more when it's done than when I'm doing it, but I know I don't hate it. I just haven't wanted to do it. But I know that's not a permanent thing. I know it'll come back. The point is, mitochondrial biogenesis and building and hanging on to muscle mass. It's one of the most important things you can do to stay healthy as you age, to have what they call metabolic flexibility, to have a higher carb tolerance, or if you're not going to eat carbs, it doesn't really matter, but you give yourself a little bit of metabolic wiggle room the more muscle you have. Not to mention, the more muscle you have, then when you're 86 years old, you'll be able to get out of a chair under your own power and carry your own grocery bags and get in and out of a car under your own power. You won't be one of these tiny, frail things that's going to blow over the second the wind blows, or who's going to break a hip if you take a fall. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, is that I finally learned, like I said, not 100%, but like I still kind of want exercise to change the size and shape of my body. But when I divorce the action and the habit and the process of physical activity, when I divorce that process from the desired outcome of my size and shape being different, then I can enjoy the exercise for its own purpose, for the mitochondrial biogenesis, for the muscle building, for the mood boost, for the sweating. Like, raising your core temperature actually is good for you for some reasons, depending on what you read and believe. So I can get myself, and so I just started running again, and I use the term loosely. It's more like a jog. I wouldn't call what I did today high intensity. It wasn't sprinting. It was not high intensity sprinting intervals. It was just jog for a while, stop and walk, jog again for a while, stop and walk. But I mean, I did it. I probably was out there for 6 miles total. Not all of it running / jogging. But I feel good. And I feel good knowing that I still can in all these years and years that I have not been running. No, I can't go out there and run a marathon. And no, I can't go out there and run like an 8-mile training run even, but I can run. And here's the thing. The next thing that I wanted to say is about appreciation and gratitude. And that gratitude is such an overused, clickbaity, slimy buzzword that it almost makes my skin crawl. But I think it is a real thing. And I listen to podcasts while I run. That's like, and walk. That's my podcast listening time is mostly when I walk. And I was listening to a doctor saying that he had worked with a man in a wheelchair who was like over 400 pounds, I think. And he had done keto and he lost, I don't know, over 100 pounds, maybe 200 pounds or so. He was much, much smaller. And first of all, that tells us that you don't have to exercise to lose weight on keto. And I know you don't, because Eric Westman has told me this. I'll actually link to a short video that he did with a wheelchair-bound patient who agreed to be on camera and everything. And he's talking to her about how she lost weight with keto and no exercise. So anyway, this patient of his who did keto had lost all this weight, and he was happy because he could get into a narrower wheelchair, and it made his, like, he was still wheelchair bound for, you know, reasons unrelated to the obesity, but he was still wheelchair bound, but he could get in and out of doorways so much easier. So like the places that were physically accessible to him had expanded. His life just broadened because he was in a narrower wheelchair. And for me to hear that and to be out there with 2 legs that work perfectly, they work beautifully. I've got 2 feet, I've got 2 knees, I'm not an amputee. You know, I went to Iraq and came back safe and sound in one piece. Not everybody had that good fortune. And I have no pulmonary obstructions, I have no emphysema, I don't have COPD, I can breathe in fully and deeply, my heart works to pump all that blood, my lungs work, my whole blood vessel system works to deliver all this blood, I can pump my arms while I'm jogging, I have 2 eyes that could see the sunlight where I was, the trees. How frickin' lucky can a girl get? I mean, like, so many of us focus so much on how freaking big our asses are and how big our thighs are and how big our arms are and how many chins we have. And you know what? There's a picture on my blog, maybe I'll link to it in the notes, of myself about 100 feet away from the finish line of the Pittsburgh Marathon. And I was pretty chubby because this was before before I stuck with low carb for the long term. And I didn't know that mere mortals didn't need to carb up for all those training runs. I could have done low carb, I just didn't know. Anyway, the point is, we're so focused on our size and shape. And I was totally taking for granted the fact that I could get up and walk 6 miles. And not only that I could walk 6 miles, but I could do it with no joint pain, no muscle pain and stiffness, full range of motion. Like sometimes every half mile or so, I'll just kind of stop and stretch, and full range of motion, no pain for me to move in any plane. And how grateful am I for those simple things that I totally take for granted that somebody else would be so grateful to have, right? Would pray to have, would wish, would look at me and think, I wish I could be her. When half the time I think, I wish I could be anybody but me. And there's somebody out there who's looking at me thinking, I wish I could run like that. Just as slow as I was and as sluggish and trying to just get through it as I was, somebody could look at me and say, I wish I could even do that. And that's something that, you know, this is not new for me. I've actually been feeling this way for a long time in terms of like, I'm so thankful that I even can, even when I was just walking, so thankful that I can be out here walking, so thankful that I can stand on my own 2 feet, fully upright, able-bodied, that I can see what's around me, hear the birds, hear the insects, smell the fresh air. This is not something that everybody has. This, I want to say simple stuff, but it's not simple. It's not simple. Not everybody has it. You know, some people could be born with some type of disability. Some people could be in an accident, have a trauma, something, even emotionally, right? My depression is not so bad that I can't get up and leave the house and go for a walk. Some people's is. Some people can't get out of bed, you know, or anxiety, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a physical limitation. It could be an emotional or mental limitation that you can't, you know, mentally and emotionally can't go do the thing that you want to do. Now, what is the other thing? Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, there were 3 things. The first was the like divorcing the process of exercise from the size and shape of the body. Like exercise is not about weight loss. And then the being grateful that I'm able to move in some way and not take this for granted. And then you know, this is funny. I'll just, before I forget, if you've seen some of my other videos, you see me drinking out of that Superman cup, and then there was that one video where I stood up at the end and showed you I was wearing Superman pajama pants. So I'm a Superman junkie. I love Superman. And Christopher Reeve is definitely, in my opinion anyway, the all-time #1 best Superman there ever was and probably ever will be. And, you know, when he was wheelchair bound all those years, sometimes back when I was a runner, like running more years ago, sometimes I would think like, oh, I don't want to go run, or I don't want, like, or I have to do a certain training run, because when you're training for a marathon, you can miss, like, and I was training with a friend, and we had a plan that was actually out of a book. It was called The Non-Runner's Marathon Trainer. It was a book designed to take you from never running to crossing the finish line of a marathon, and we both did cross that finish line, so the book worked. Anyway, it had a training plan with certain, you had to run a certain number of miles, a certain number of days a week, and it was all planned out. And you could miss some here and there, but the more you missed, the less likely you were to cross that finish line, right? So I did miss a few here and there, but a couple of times when I just wasn't feeling it and I just didn't want to run, I would think, Amy, Christopher Reeve would give anything to be able to go for that 8-mile run. You get your shoes on and get your ass outside and do that run. You know, I'm sorry for swearing, but sometimes the passion is just too much. And that's what would get me to run. I would think, you know what, Amy, Christopher Reeve would give anything to be able to get up out of his chair and run. So what the hell are you complaining about? Go run. See you later. So, okay. Now the other thing. Now before I move on to the other thing, don't get the wrong idea. Like when I say exercise is no good for weight loss, and exercise, you know, separate exercise from changing your body, that's not to say you should not exercise. Now, if you are wheelchair bound or you have some other issue that, you know, prevents you from doing exercise, you can lose weight without exercise. You can lose fat without exercise. You can get massively healthy without exercise. So don't feel like you have to exercise. But if you can exercise, it is very good for you for reasons unrelated to weight loss. So just because it's a really crappy way to lose body fat doesn't mean you shouldn't do it for other reasons. So, you know, like I said, cardiovascular fitness, building muscle, mood booster, cognitive sharpness, whatever. So don't like take the wrong message away from this video. Like, oh, Amy Berger says I shouldn't exercise. That is not what Amy Berger is saying. Okay, now that that's done. Now this third thing that I wanted to say is kind of related to that, you know, exercise is good for you in so many other ways aside from changing the size and shape of your body. Keto is good for you in so many ways besides changing the size and shape of your body. And I'll do some videos coming up over the next couple of weeks on some papers that came out recently looking at ketogenic or low carb diets in the absence of weight loss. They did studies on people where they kept the food, kept the calorie amount the same, like designed these diets specifically so the participants would not lose weight. And they compared a low carb to a moderate carb to a high carb diet on internal markers of health, right? Biomarkers, different blood tests, leave the weight out of it. And the study worked, right? The patients did not lose weight, or they didn't lose what they call a significant amount of weight. They didn't lose enough weight that any changes, for better or worse, could be explained by weight loss. So even when you don't lose weight, keto is really good for you. So I'm actually, good news for you, I hope, I'm coming out with an ebook on breaking fat loss stalls, and I hope to have it out within the next month. Today it's August 9th is my recording day right here. So I hope by the end of August, if not sometime in September, to have this ebook out. But one of the chapters has a very important section where I talk about even if your weight is not changing, because on keto sometimes, too much to say. Let me not get too far afield. The point is, even if you are not losing weight on keto and you want to lose weight, right? We know people use keto for all kinds of different things. They use it for migraines, gout, epilepsy, fatty liver, PCOS, whatever. Even if you want to use keto so even if you're not losing weight, but you want to, like you are significantly overweight or obese and you want to lose weight, okay, that's a goal, that's what you want to do. But let's say that's just not happening right now. The weight is not going anywhere. If you're being faithful to the diet, there might be other reasons why the weight isn't moving, and you can read my book when it comes out to find out what those are. But rest assured, my friends and viewers, that even if your weight isn't changing, if you're eating a low carb or ketogenic diet, good things are happening on the inside, same as exercise, right? Even if you're not losing weight, losing body fat on through exercise, good things are happening to cardiovascular system, to your musculoskeletal system, to all that stuff. And I won't go into too much detail because I will do dedicated videos on some of these papers that have come out, but you will have better insulin levels, better blood glucose levels, all that stuff could be better through keto, even if your weight isn't changing. I cannot emphasize that enough, because there are people who are quite overweight who are very healthy on the inside. I've given talks about this. I'm actually giving a talk about this in Raleigh, North Carolina. Come see me on October 12th. Saturday, October 12th in Raleigh. You can go to my website, 2itnutrition.com. There's a tab that says Meet Me in Person. You can find links to all the events where I'll be in the next few months. There is a link to that event in Raleigh. It's called Adapt Your Life. It's called Adapt, whatever. You'll see it there. And I'll be giving a talk about this very issue, that there's tons and tons of non-overweight people, tons and tons of thin people that have totally freaked up insides, right? Raging type 2 diabetes, raging cardiovascular disease, massively clogged arteries, and they're thin, right? And then we have obese people who on the inside are totally healthy. So you can't know what's going on by weight, right? Weight, thin does not equal healthy, and I'll do actually an entirely separate video on that. Thin does not equal healthy. But let's see, what else did I want to say about any of this? This is what happens when there's no notes. It's just all over the place. Oh, right. So with keto, like I mentioned in a previous video, I had a consultation recently with a client who, I'm looking at some of the blood work, and she was not overweight. She wanted to lose weight. She wasn't overweight. But I'm looking at the blood work, like, whatever she's doing with her diet is working, because the bloods look great. All the tests look fantastic to me. And I had to remind myself of that. Like, I'm not happy with my weight. My weight fluctuates a lot. You may have seen me in person at an event or two, like, oh, Amy, you look great. It doesn't matter if someone else thinks I look great. I know what size I am. I know how I'm comfortable in my own skin. I could stand to lose about 10 pounds. But looking at my blood work, I am entirely 100% satisfied with my health. The weight, I could stand to lose some weight. But I think my carbohydrate intake is low enough that all my bloods look great. I just overeat. I overeat keto foods. I eat too much. And I've said that on videos. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm just going to be honest. I like to eat too much. And, but I'm healthy. At least I'm overeating keto foods. You know, that's a subject for another time. But, I have to remind myself that, you know what, okay, maybe my hips are kind of squishy and I could squish some stuff on my abdomen, and I've got definitely that big upper arm. Like, I've got some body fat that I would like to not have, but I'm healthy. I'm physically able. I'm very content with my capability. I mean, my physical fitness. Would I like to be stronger and faster? Yeah. Can I get stronger and faster if I keep this up? Yeah. And I get back to lifting especially? Yeah. So I know that will come in time. Whether or not my shape and size change or get smaller, I'm doing really well on the inside. And I have to stop waiting to live life. I have to stop hiding. I have to stop waiting to experience new things until, you know, after I lose weight, then I'll do X. Well, when I'm thinner, then I'll do X. That is not a way to live. And this video, I did not think this was going to be half an hour. We're over 26 minutes now. My point is, just think about these things in your life, right? Think about how exercise, if you're able to do it and if you want to do it, how it makes you feel better in your mind and in your heart, and how it just gives you more energy. Oddly enough, while you're doing it, you might be tired, you might be winded, but overall, in general, in your life throughout the day, you usually have more energy when you exercise regularly. Think about what it's doing for your heart, lungs, for your musculoskeletal system, all this good stuff. And same thing with keto. Don't get discouraged. If you have a significant amount of weight to lose and it's not budging yet, first of all, wait till my book comes out. Lots of tips in there for you. And of course, I will have many more details on that as it gets closer. But, you know, stay the course. Trust the process. Trust that even though you are not losing either pounds on the scale or kilos on the scale, even if that damn scale isn't moving at all, and even if your tape measure isn't moving, even if you're not losing inches, even if nothing seems to be changing with your size or shape or weight, on the inside, things could still be going really well. You know, I had my own blood work done not long ago, and it was great. It was like, I was actually surprised at how good it was. And I had, you know, okay, that's really great, because you know what? It tells me I'm on the right track. Whatever I'm doing is great, and I should keep doing it. And there's some things that I can do that I think will get this body fat moving the way I want it to. But I'm grateful that I know what I know about keto, and that I know what I know about diet in general, about food in general, about the human body, because I'm healthy. I'm just a little fatter than I'd like to be. Okay, not the end of the world. Really grateful to be healthy, really grateful I was able to take that walk, and that I'm able to get up on my own 2 feet. And I think that's it. So before I go though, I got these new shoes. I think the reason I wanted to run is because I got new shoes. And these look enormous on camera. I'm a size 8. They look so big because they're so close to the screen. Maybe they look smaller now. This super sweet New Balance running shoe. They discontinued the shoe that I ran one of my marathons. It was like my magic shoe. It was like the best shoe ever, and they discontinued it, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, more than that. But I got these new shoes, and you know, I wear shoes like literally into the ground. I will wear a pair of sneakers until there's a hole in the sole, and I have to stop wearing it because it starts ripping into my sock, or if it's raining, my foot actually gets wet because there's a hole. Like, yeah, that's how I am. So I finally got some new shoes, and they're so, you know, cushiony. Sorry, barefoot runners. I'm never going to be a barefoot runner. I'm never going to buy those little Vibram 5 fingers. I have nothing against them. I'm never going to do it. You know how they say the keto lifestyle, the paleo lifestyle? It's not a lifestyle to me. It's a diet. It's the way I eat. I'm not going to buy those shoes. Anyway, got regular shoes with lots and lots of cushioning and padding the way I like it, and put them on and I go for this walk, and I like, walking wasn't enough. I wanted to run. I wanted to move fast because these are so cushiony and comfy, and just, they made me want to run. And so I've actually, yeah, and it felt good. It's hard for me to even fathom that I've run marathons, because I can't even imagine running 26.2 miles right now. I didn't even do 6. Like I said, it was like half walk, half run, or half jog even, really. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to be like, this is why I started running. Not because I like wanted to. I couldn't help myself with these new shoes. That's it. I will see you next time. You can find me at 2itnutrition.com. On Twitter, my handle is 2itnutrition. And I think that's it. Upcoming, I'm going to have some videos, like I said, on, how thin does not equal healthy. And I will have videos that go a little more detailed on the science, like I did with the men's health and PCOS. I will do videos on keto for gout and migraines. So if you deal with gout or you deal with migraines, stay tuned for those. And then I have all these ideas for other videos. I was in a little drought. I know you can't tell because I was still posting at least once a week. I was running out of ideas, like, I'm kind of done, nothing else I can talk about. And then the floodgates open and I got all these good ideas. So stay tuned to the channel. Tell all your friends and family to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.